All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking some time out this Thursday afternoon. It's exciting to have a special guest with us today on hashtag #BKOT number 28. As we roll along into February, this year's off to a good start, and I have with me Dr. Sean Stein-Smith. He is the founder of Institute for Blockchain and Crypto Asset Research. So we got connected from congratulations email when I sent out 40 under 40, recognized by CPA
Yes, sir.
Practice Advisor.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, by the way.
Yes, awesome to have you here. So tell us about Dr. Smith here. So take it away.
Sure. So probably the most pertinent place to actually start is at the beginning, right? And so I'm a CPA by training, education, worked in the industry for about 8.5 years. And I guess around maybe 2016-ish, probably the end of 2015, 2016, as I was doing my PhD work, I heard about this thing, blockchain. At the time, I was too busy to actually do anything about it. But then I guess starting in 2016 and then obviously in 2017 during that bull run of Bitcoin and the whole space, I got really, really more hands-on into it. And so both in terms of my role in higher education, Lehman College right here, and at the institute that I actually just have up and running as of the back half of 2020, and then all of the writing, research, consulting, training that I do in blockchain and crypto assets. What I try to do is to, one, educate, and to two, help companies, large, small, and individuals, to try to get a handle on how it works, what it is, and also more pertinent right now, the trends and sort of bigger picture directions that are driving this whole area going forward.
Yeah, it's change is constant, and though this currency's been around for a decade or so, it's not real prevalent. But at the same time, it's becoming more and more aware. I mean, there's been some recent volatility in that. And so can you explain like why and how that could happen?
Yeah, sure. So to your point, right, the whole idea of Bitcoin and crypto has been around really since Halloween of 2008, when the original Bitcoin white paper got published, and the first block was mined January 2009. So it's been in the ether, right, for a while, but in terms of being used as a currency, it really hasn't caught it on yet, right? Because even though it's called cryptocurrency, it's currently not treated as a currency tool. Now it's the whole conversation on the dramatic price volatility that has been going on, especially at the tail end of 2020 during the holidays, basically, and the early part of 2021. All of that has a few main driving forces. One is this almost fear, right, that all of this quantitative easing, money printing, both here in the US and overseas, is going to ultimately have some sort of pushback, right? There is ultimately going to be some hangover after all of this. Now, obviously, these actions right now are needed, but there is going to be some sort of pushback on that. And so there is this underlying sort of thought that Bitcoin could serve as the 21st century version of gold, right? Basically being a hedge against inflation, dollar weakness, all the rest. Two, to sort of add on to that, right? Now, all of us know that interest rates are at all-time lows, right? Which is awesome if you're a home buyer, car buyer, trying to borrow money for a business. But if you're a investor, right, be they individuals like us, be they large institutions, pensions, endowments, hedge funds, which are the ultimate bad guy right now, but any large institutional player has an obligation to try to get the best return possible. But if the equity markets are overbought, which could arguably be argued for, and the debt markets are either yielding below zero or at zero, that then opens up the whole conversation on, okay, where is the actual cash flow going to go? And so Bitcoin has also been sort of captured in this whole push towards, private equity stuff, alternative asset, and then crypto. And then to sort of bring us all the way up to right now, this whole relatively recent movement of the Reddit retail trader has kind of captured, and I know that's a whole other conversation, right?
Oh, yeah.
But all of that has also pushed, right? Because crypto is cool, it's accessible, it's a hot topic, and you can have a large impact on the price because there is nothing really backing that price in terms of a price to earnings, cash flows, assets on the balance sheet. So all of those factors do or have and do play a role in some of the ups and downs out there.
So now you talked a lot about what determines the value of it, but also, I mean, for our audience to explain, you have stablecoin, Bitcoin, crypto, right?
Sure.
Like what can you explain a little bit about the differences in that and how it all ties in?
Sure. So we have how long, Chris? 12 hours? No, but no, but so overall, right, to your point, Chris, right, there are over 4,000 cryptocurrencies out there: Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and a whole host of others. But sort of broadly speaking, there are basically three big areas right now. There's the traditional decentralized crypto. There's Bitcoin, Ether, right? Those are out there, decentralized. They aren't really managed by anybody, right? And so they float. There's all that. Now there was this, I guess, starting in 2018, there was this whole rise of these privately issued coins, right? And they're called asset-backed coins, stable coins, whatever. And so all of those are kind of a halfway point between fiat and Bitcoin, right? Because they are cryptocurrencies, but they're backed, tethered, pegged, supported to a underlying asset. And the bulk of them right now are backed by the US dollar. Okay. So then in theory, each coin, like the SSS coin, backed on a one-to-one basis, is the equal to $1 US on paper. And then over here, starting in 2020, really, this whole conversation around a central bank digital currency, which is basically where now we have countries trying to get into the crypto game, trying to issue their own, trying to basically tokenize or try to put the dollar on a blockchain. And so, okay, cool. But from 2008 to 2020, right, the whole conversation has gone a full 180, from Bitcoin being open source, no rules, no oversight, no banks or PayPals, to in 2020, now we have PayPal, Visa, MasterCard encouraging their customers to buy, sell, use Bitcoin on their platforms, and actual countries developing, and in the case of mainland China, actually rolling out their own crypto yuan hybrid.
Nice. Yeah, it's going to evolve, just like anything. As I mentioned earlier, change is constant. And,
absolutely.
I mean, do you think with the ongoing pandemic has kind of moved this fast forward, like change the mindset of this digital currency?
I would say so, yes, because if we go all the way back to March, right, there was a idea or a concept in the first draft of the CARES Act, it passed back in March, that actually included a clause or a phrase, I mean, to actually have a blockchain-based system used to get economic aid payments out the door faster. Now, ultimately, it didn't work that way. Then there were all of those issues with the checks and the wrong folks getting them, all the rest. But even all the way back in March, there was a real conversation going on at, okay, fine, how do we move forward, right? How do we move our payments, our finance system, our banking system out of the 20th and into the 21st century paradigm? So yeah, absolutely, right? Because all of us are offsite from home, doing more and more online. PayPal had I think a 72% uptick in their quarterly volume during the fourth quarter. So yeah, absolutely, this whole pivot to fully online or online first has definitely influenced, and in a positive way, blockchain, crypto, all the rest.
Yeah, it's become more top of mind. Yeah, I didn't realize that it was even in the CARES Act. So it just makes sense, right? And even all when you go to we're both in New York City, and when cash used to be king, and now it's all like Apple Pay or we accept wireless payments and everything. Like don't touch anything. That type of deal. But fair enough. But then so now talking about all the blockchain applications out there. So where does someone start with that? Can you talk what that is and some use cases with that?
Yeah, sure. And actually, a excellent place to start, so to get a big picture, is Forbes actually publishes every year their Forbes 50 blockchain annual sort of listing of large billion-dollar plus revenue companies, so big companies, multinational ones usually, that have built their own blockchains or are part of someone else's blockchain and have those blockchains integrated into their business. So a few of the examples and applications that are pretty high profile right now, Walmart has been pretty high profile since about 2017 or 2018, actually using their own leafy green blockchain to trace every single fresh food product sold at their stores. IBM has the IBM Food Trust. IBM has a trade lens platform. So for international shipping, right, trans-Pacific, trans-Atlantic barges and cargo ships are all part, or there are some of them that are part of this network to add traceability and transparency into the goods that are being shipped halfway around the world. And there are also some applications, Volkswagen, Ford, FedEx, UPS. There are also some applications being built out to help combat against conflict minerals. And also a really hot topic right now is how do we use blockchain possibly to help track COVID-19 vaccines, right? Treatments from point A to point B to make sure that they're going to their correct endpoint and they're being handled correctly in terms of their time in the freezer, defrosting, and all of that. And so there's any number of applications out there. There are even online platforms for music streaming, content streaming of all kinds, built on or augmented by a blockchain platform. So there are any number of applications out there, but it's a lot bigger, right, than only payments, is the main point.
Yeah, and it's so funny. You just made me think of something.
Oh, great.
So I have this app called Cash App, right?
Okay. Yep.
Through Square, PayPal,
Yep.
And so I got it because they always give discounts for buying products via their platform, right? So now they have a Bitcoin feature, and this is new that I noticed. And so that one of their coupons is earn 5% worth of Bitcoin for any time that you shop. And now I have invested $21
nice.
into Bitcoin without even doing anything.
There we go. There we're getting in there.
This just proves to your point, about this currency and how it's working in our everyday lives. And hey, I own the shit. I own $21 worth.
Nice.
I mean, it's amazing how easy it is and how to integrate it and how it's coming into our everyday lives. It just makes sense. So now about for the accountant, right, who may not be too comfortable with this and not know where to start. What's some advice or some pointers you could give for them and that they could where they could help out their clients?
So probably the best place to start is to understand from a external client point of view why they're interested in blockchain or in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, right? Because not every company is ready for blockchain or Bitcoin, and not every single company is actually going to get the upside of blockchain or using cryptocurrencies. So after sort of having that sort of baseline conversation, why are you interested and is there a business use case for it in your form right now? Then it's like, okay, fine. How do we want to do this, right? Do we want to build our own blockchain in-house? Do we Do we want to take a model that's being used elsewhere and augment that, bring it in-house, or are we going to join somebody else's blockchain, like at a Walmart, JP Morgan, or some other large entity? Now, as far as the actual cryptocurrency side goes, what is the point of that? Are we going to get paid in Bitcoin and crypto? Are we going to offer that as an option? Or are we going to go even further and say, okay, customers can pay us in crypto, and to our suppliers and vendors, we're going to pay you in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies? So there are some different angles to have these conversations, but off the top, you have to be able to establish what type of actual blockchain is being talked about, and then how the Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency is ultimately going to be used in the firm.
Got it. No, it's good advice, because as this continues to grow, people need resources and know what to do, where to go, and how to manage it, per se.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now for the potential for the crypto blockchain to be used by enterprises.
Sure.
We talked about the different versions. Now, can you explain a little bit more about how that's going to, and explain the future of this now, and how that's going to tie into our everyday lives?
Sure. So probably the two best adjectives that I found to try to highlight some of the benefits are transparency and traceability, right? So it's the ability now to be able to have access to every transaction as it's happening in real time, and to have those transactions confirmed by the members of that blockchain network, right? Because it's important to always have as a backdrop that all that we are actually talking about here in terms of a blockchain is it's a network, basically, of members to store and to transfer data in a encrypted manner on a continuous basis. So as far as the upsides, or as far as how it can be used for payments. And so basically, the biggest upside for an enterprise is the increased efficiency in its operations, right? Because anybody who's ever worked in accounting for anything knows that trying to do confirmations, trying to get backup documentation, trying to audit entries, trying to pull entries, trying to do the counts of the inventory, trying to find out any tax outstanding issues, and also just the time that all of that takes, and the time and the energy that pulls away from the engagement itself, and adding actual business value to our clients, should be able to understand that having access to the information as it's actually being produced is a huge upside.
Awesome. Yes, no, spot on with that. Some good information. And I wanted to know more about recently, right? You founded the Institute for Blockchain and Crypto Asset Research, right?
Yep.
So one, what made you start this? And two, what is like the mission, vision, value here for this?
Sure. So I founded it really because I do a lot of work in the blockchain crypto asset space. I'm on the boards of a few companies out there, have a column for Forbes. So I do a whole bunch of work out there, but I do feel that there's still this sort of breakdown of these blockchain crypto conversations, right? Into accounting, audit, tax, transportation, and then IT, right? So how do we bring that all together, right? Because there are countries out there that are doing an excellent job at trying to set up a blockchain policy, blockchain hubs, blockchain sandboxes, whereas here we haven't really connected all of these dots yet. And obviously, I can't do it all by myself, but having that conversation, bringing in different people, right, from different industry sectors, to have those conversations and to actually produce thought leadership and content analyzing blockchain, right, from a end-to-end point of view, it was really the underlying push. And so then to that end, really the whole mission of the Institute is to be out there, talk to policymakers, industry actors, and hopefully people who are on the ground trying to get it up and running in their firm, and to be able to sort of have them come together, hash out the open items, of which there are many, and then hopefully be able to start pushing this whole conversation outside of sort of how does it work, why should I do it, what's the upside, to trying to build that, like, okay, fine, here are the overarching guidelines, frameworks, and sort of thought landscape that should underpin blockchain and broader crypto asset conversations.
Yeah, that's awesome, seriously, because resources are such a necessity, and just like simple technology, right? When the pandemic came, most in the accounting industry weren't even partially virtual, right?
Yeah.
I've worked with many virtual firms, but if I had 10 calls, one of them would be virtual, right? And so it's new. So and you could love it or hate it, but you got to embrace it. That's the thing. I mean, I have an iPhone 8 Plus still. It works. That's why I keep it. But even to get into the iPhone, originally I came from BlackBerry, so it was hard for me. But I've just realized that technology's out there. All these applications are out there. You can love it or hate it, but you just have to embrace it and understand it. And so people like you, folks like you, is important to have as a resource to help us understand, because it's not going anywhere. I mean, it's getting a lot of ground. I'm already a shareholder, so
yeah, absolutely.
So
proving your point right here.
I literally have about 350 apps on this phone. I just download it. If there's an app for it, I'm that type of person. So bringing you on today to give us some insight on this is really appreciate your time. So
absolutely.
Any final thoughts or anything else for the audience today?
I would say really, blockchain and crypto, there are a ton of headlines out there right now. But the core points to keep in mind is that, one, it's a tool, right? It's software, hardware, and us. And the best tool in the world isn't going to work as it should or operate as advertised if the folks using it aren't educated and don't really understand why, right? It's being used in the first place. So ultimately, right, the IT side of this conversation is important, but it ultimately always is going to be us trying to explain to our colleagues and our external clients how to use it, why to use it, and why it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I again appreciate your time coming on and explaining this to us, and everyone out there, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us, and we'll be back soon with some more content for you guys and ideas, all to help out the small to mid-sized accounting market. So hashtag #DKOT, episode number 28 coming to a close. Dr. Sean Stein, thank you so much again. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys.